Now, I'm not talking about taking up arms against our government. I want to make that clear. But I have a question tonight. Does anybody here know how to boil a frog? Anybody here? Raise your hand if you know how to boil a frog. All right, we got a few people. Now, if you want to boil a frog, do you throw that frog in a pot of boiling water? Is that what you do? No? Why not? What will happen if you throw it in the pot of heating water? It'll jump out. Well, you know, for years and years, our government has been boiling the frog the only way you can boil a frog. Just heating up the water a little bit by little bit. A lost freedom here, a new government program there, a new tax credit here. Just getting us used to the warmer water. But then something happened. 6 months ago, we elected a host of socialist swarm who has now turned that burner up as high as it will go. And I have a question tonight. Are we going to sit in that pot of boiling water, or are we ready to fight for freedom? Will we surrender to the socialist swarm who has wormed their way into power, or will we fight for freedom? Will we take them at their word that this is for your own good, or will we fight for freedom? Will we shrug as our government sells our children and grandchildren into slavery with staggering debt, or will we fight for freedom? Will we stand by as some in power argue that our Constitution should be interpreted to conform to international law? Or will we fight for freedom? Will we allow ourselves to be led like lambs off the edge of a cliff into the abyss of the all-caring mother state? Or will we fight for freedom? Will we sit back in our easy chairs, our country hurtles towards socialism like a fully loaded freight train headed downhill at full throttle? Or will we fight for freedom? Will we stand by as the last vestiges of that shining city on the hill and the last best hope for the free world vanishes before our eyes? Or will we fight for freedom? Will we watch as the once great nation who defeated Marxism and collectivism and won the Cold War fades into a declining socialistic state? Or will we fight for freedom? As our nation teeters on the edge of utter calamity, did you hear that? Utter calamity. Will we sit back and play our fiddle, or will we fight for freedom? Now, when I was in Philadelphia and I was in Independence Hall, I stood in the room where those 56 signers met, and then in that same room later, the Constitutional Convention was held. George Washington sat in a chair at the front of the room, and that very same chair is there today. And on the back of that chair, there is a half visible sun there. You can see half the sun. And as the Constitution was put together, Benjamin Franklin, he was old, very old, and kind of observing what was going on, said this. He said, I have been sitting here watching that sun, and I have been trying to determine if the sun was rising or if it was setting. And I have made the determination that the sun is rising on America. Well, I don't know if you realize it or not, but there's a new sun out there now, and it appeared last year on Obama's campaign logo. And that sun is a socialist sun. And I am afraid to tell you today that Benjamin Franklin's sun of liberty is setting in America and is being replaced by a rising sun of socialism. And I wonder, do we care enough to stop it and to fight for freedom? Now we heard about those 56 siders who pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor. You know, those weren't just words. Let me say that again. When they pledged their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor, they weren't kidding. Of those 56 siders, 9 died of wounds or hardships during the war. 5 were captured and imprisoned and suffered brutal treatment. Several lost wives, sons, or entire families. 2 wives were brutally treated. 12 had their homes burned to the ground. And 17 lost everything they owned. Question: did they do it for nothing? As we stand here today, some 200 years later, and as we look at the direction that our country is going, did they sacrifice their all for nothing? Second question: after considering what it really means to pledge your life, your fortune, and your sacred honor for freedom, are you willing to fight for freedom today?